Hey guys, welcome back. So this is the Fifine K658 podcast microphone. Now, yes, it's pronounced fine, but this is actually the second Fifine mic I've reviewed on this channel. The first one was actually the K683A, and it's a excellent budget microphone. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link to that in the video description below. Now, just before we carry on with the rest of the review, I just want to say that I am actually using the K658 to record this video. Now, I will not be doing any post-processing to the audio at all right? I might just increase the volume just a little bit. I'm not sure yet, but I will also not be adding any background music so you're not distracted and you can solely focus on the audio quality. Now, first of all, in the box, you get the microphone. Obviously, you also get a user guide. You get the USB cable, and yes, this is a USB microphone. Now, you also get a little stand, and you also get the shock mount over here, which I'll speak about later on. And of course, you also get a little mic thread adapter, which is actually a really nice touch. Now, the build quality for me is a little bit of a hit and miss. Now, first of all, the actual microphone is superbly built. It's really solid, really well built. Just holding in your hand, immediately you get the impression that a lot of thought was put into, and the materials used is really good. This whole body here is metal. Now, the flip side actually is this shock mount over here. Now, first of all, in my review of the K683A, I did mention that I wish it came with a shock mount. So this one actually does, which is great. However, the entire thing is made out of plastic, right? Now, even the bands over here, which most shock mounts is usually made of sort of like a rubber band material or a really good quality rubber band material. But even this is sort of like a plastic material, and I find it a little bit too rigid, so it doesn't work as well as some of the other shock mounts I've used. But yeah, overall, it's all plastic. I do wish that certain parts of it were made of metal just to sort of reinforce the quality a bit. Now, in terms of design, one of the most defining features of the microphone obviously is the RGB implementation. So you have RGB lights just right at the bottom of the microphone, and they reflect onto the shock mount. Now, whether or not this implementation is to my liking, I'll speak about that later on, but looking at my entire setup, you know that I'll be the last person to complain about any RGB. Now, another defining feature of the Fifine K658, at least to me, is this ginormous microphone gain knob. It's right over here. This entire thing is a gain knob. Now, I have no idea why it needs to be that big. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing it, right? To me, it's neither good nor bad. I just think it's a little interesting. But also, along with the gain knob right in the center, you actually have a mute button. Now, it's not a tactile mute button that you can press in. It's actually touchscreen. So if I were to press this now, you will turn red. It goes back to green, and then it's working again. Now, it also has another button at the back of the microphone, also a capacitive touch button, not a tactile one. Now, what it does, it actually switches the RGB light off. So I think you can barely see it, but I'm switching it on and off right now. And that's all it does. It just toggles it on and off. Now, the RGB light actually cycles. You can't do anything. There are no other modes. I wish it did, but having said that, these lights are, well, still pretty nice. Now, under the microphone, you have two ports. You have the USB Type-C port that you can use to plug in the included USB cable. You also have a 3.5mm headphone out port, which is really nice, so you can just plug it in. You don't have to go and fiddle on your computer. Really nice touch. And now, of course, the most important feature, the audio quality. How does it sound? Now, I have to say, I actually really like it. I was really impressed. Now, when I got sent over this microphone by Fifine, when I saw that it was an RGB mic, my first impression was, oh, this is just going to be about the RGB. All the money that went into this is going to be on the RGB, and the microphone quality is going to be an afterthought. However, I am glad to say the microphone quality on this is really good for the price. Now, one thing you want to note is that the Fifine K658 is a dynamic microphone, not a condenser one, right? Now, I'm not going to go too much detail into the differences between the two, but the important things to note right now is, number one, when it comes to condenser mics, they pick up a lot more sibilance, a lot more clarity. They're generally a bit more sensitive. So if you're looking for a mic and you prioritize things like clarity, higher frequencies over sort of body, then this might not be the mic for you. One other thing to note about dynamic mics being less sensitive is also that you have a lot less leeway in terms of how much you can move away from the mic. Now, some condenser mics, you can move quite a bit and it picks up your voice at around the same volume. However, for dynamic mics, and I might have already done this throughout the video, but if I were to move away out of the direction of where the capsule is, the change in the volume is actually pretty evident. However, having said that, having a dynamic mic does have its benefits as well. Now, first of all, when it comes to condenser mics, especially some of the more sensitive ones, now if you happen to go too close to the microphone, or if you adjust the gain to be a little bit too high, it distorts pretty easily. So if I go too close, it starts to distort and then your entire recording is ruined. However, with dynamic mics being a lot less sensitive, I can go really close and it would take a lot more volume for it to be really distorted. I'm going really close, I can increase the gain, all right, and you have a lot more headroom before the distortion becomes unbearable. Now, another good benefit about dynamic mics is that because of its less sensitive sort of pickup area, more commonly known as the polar pattern, it picks up a lot less ambient noise. So it's a much better option in a noisy environment. Now, one example I can give is I've got a keyboard over here, right? This is a mechanical keyboard, so it's going to be a little noisy. If you've used condenser mics before, you would realize that it picks up your mouse clicks and it picks up your keyboard pretty well. But for a dynamic mic such as the Fifine K658, I'm typing now and you could probably still hear it, but it is not going to be as evident as on a condenser mic. Which is why the Fifine K658 is actually an excellent option, not just for podcast mics, which is what this mic is actually being marketed for. It is also an excellent mic for game streamers, because like I said, when you stream, and I had the keyboard right in front of me, if you're a gamer, right, and you stream your games, it was going to pick up your keyboard, it's going to pick up your mouse a lot if you use a condenser mic. So if you use a dynamic mic like this one, it doesn't pick it up as much. So is there anything I don't like about the Fifine K658? Now, like I mentioned, the subpar quality of the shock mount is an issue for me. I feel like some of it should be made out of metal. But I already mentioned that. Now, like I mentioned in the unboxing, it does come with a little stand here, and this actually is pretty well built as well. But what I would say is, if you can, as much as possible, if you're going to get this mic or any dynamic mic, get a mount, get an arm for your microphone, because with this, it's really sensitive to the distance between your mouth and the microphone. So I would usually recommend between maybe 2 to 4 inches between the microphone and your mouth. And it's kind of hard when you have a small little stand like this. So getting an arm to mount your microphone makes it a lot better and makes it a lot easier to adjust it to where it's supposed to be. Now, even though this might not be important to a lot of you, I do want to talk about the RGB implementation. Now, first of all, when you can see it, it's actually pretty nice. And I'm really glad that it didn't go overboard with it and make it like look really gaudy. But honestly, the RGB is sort of for your own viewing pleasure only. I mean, I'm not even sure right now. I can't tell if you can see. You can probably see just a little bit of it. But yeah, it's more for you than anyone else. Because the diaphragm is pointing up, you have to sort of arrange the microphone in a way that sort of makes the RGB not as visible to other people. However, having said that, even if the Fifine K658 didn't even come with RGB lights and was just a regular microphone, I still think it's excellent value. And speaking of price, you can actually get it either at the Fifine website, which is available for about $120 US. You can do that, or actually I realized if I went to the Amazon Canadian website, you can actually get this for 120 Canadian, which if you're not aware is actually quite a fair bit cheaper. Now, to me, the Fifine K658 is a microphone with a lot of room for improvement, but excels at where it matters most. And to me, still makes it great value and earns a 4 out of 5 stars and a Technobabble recommended logo. Alright, so that about wraps up my review of the Fifine K658. Now, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I would love it if you were subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications on our next video. I'm JP, and I'll see you real soon.